Hey everyone, Hasgaha here. I've been asked about this a number of times, and with Star Citizen Alpha 3.0 around the corner, I wanted to talk about another video game screenshot topic, image quality, which is everything from the resolution of the capture to the file format and compression, and even where you upload it to. Keep watching, I'll explain my methods and why I do what I do. First, a disclaimer. What follows is my overview of how and why I personally do things because it's what works best for me. I'm not saying this is the best or the only way to do it. I encourage you to test on your own and use what follows as a suggestion. Also, while most of my screenshots are from Star Citizen, this topic applies to all in-game screenshots. And finally, I'm betting the average gamer is not going to delve this deep into the art of in-game screenshots. But if you're looking for tips on improving the capture quality of your screenshots, hopefully you'll learn a new trick or two. So let's start with image compression and the main ideas you want to have a vague awareness of. Simply put, image compression is the act of simplifying an image in order to reduce its file size so that it takes up less space on your hard drive or less bandwidth on the internet or what have you. But by compressing or simplifying the image, you often sacrifice detail quality, color depth, and so on in favor of smaller file size. Makes sense, right? If you want this pile of rocks to fit into that container, you're going to have to leave some of the rocks out. You'll probably even have to break up some of the bigger rocks into smaller ones. There are two categories of image compression, lossless and lossy. Lossless compression is when the image is compressed but without losing quality. Some lossless compression can actually be reversed and decompressed to restore the original file, which is why lossless compression is often preferred in print design and graphic design in general. Lossy compression, on the other hand, sacrifices quality for file size and can reduce massive image files to tiny file sizes. Remember the rocks? Lossy would make them fit into this container. Got it? Good. Moving on to file format. There are many, but here are the most prevalent options: PNG, JPEG, GIF, BMP, and TIFF. If you've browsed the internet in the last decade or two, most of these should sound familiar. The most popular and widely used for screenshots are PNGs and JPEGs. PNG images usually use lossless compression, but can also be saved with no compression in some programs. JPEG and GIF images both use a lossy format for high compression and smaller file sizes. JPEG is often preferred for web images in general for their quality to size ratio. You can deliver high quality images at low file sizes, which results in lower bandwidth and higher speeds. Oftentimes, JPEG image editors allow you to set the level of the lossy compression with a quality percentage. The lower the quality percentage, the higher the compression. But even at 100% quality, it is still a lossy compression and the image will be degraded. GIFs, on the other hand, compress images to a maximum 8-bit color depth and should never be used for high quality images, so just never use this for gaming screenshots. TIFFs and BMPs, or bitmaps, come in compressed and uncompressed formats. The uncompressed options are for those hardcore screenshotters with massive amounts of storage. For me, uncompressed is overkill at the moment when lossless PNGs are available. So that leaves us with JPEG and PNG, which brings us back to lossy versus lossless compression. I always prefer lossless because I value quality over file size. I have terabytes of storage available to me and I don't mind filling them up with high quality screenshots. Unfortunately, not all gaming screenshot software has PNG as an option. Star Citizen's built-in screenshot function, for example, only captures in JPEG format as of Alpha 2.6, with no way to see or set the compression from within the game. But JPEG is still a valid choice, especially if you can use a high-quality setting on the compression. For me, I used to use MSI Afterburner a lot for screenshots because it has PNG as an option. But I switched to Reshade's native screenshot tool because Afterburner was not capturing Reshade's injectors like levels, vibrance, and film grain. I know that's probably gibberish to some, but I'll explain that in a later video. I haven't used Fraps in years, but I do believe JPEG, BMP, and PNG are all options for screenshot formats. Moving on to resolution, which depending on context can mean a whole bunch of different things. But specifically with screenshots, and overly simplified, the resolution is the height and width of an image in pixels. The higher the resolution, the more pixels are used to represent the image and the higher the inherent file size. Generally speaking, if you're striving for the highest quality, you want to capture the screenshot in as high a resolution as your system can handle and store. Also, capturing in a higher resolution makes the image usable as desktop backgrounds to a wider audience if that's something you take into account. For example, I have a 4K monitor, and a 1920 by 1080 image does not look good at full screen on it because it gets distorted as the image is expanded and stretched to fit the extra resolution. So by providing my shots in 4K, I make them usable for 4K resolutions and smaller. For games like Star Citizen that, as of Alpha 2.6, aren't optimized with all the anti-aliasing bells and whistles, taking a screenshot at a super high resolution gives you room to downsample the image to a lower resolution. Downsampling an image, whether in real time or in an image editor after the fact, from a higher resolution to a lower one reduces the number of pixels and forces the image to approximate and condense pixels. This is essentially anti-aliasing, which, if you didn't know, is used to add greater realism to a digital image by smoothing jagged edges on curved lines and diagonals. So again, using Star Citizen as an example, it lacks strong anti-aliasing, but taking a screenshot in a real high resolution like 6144 by 3456, which is kind of like 6K, and downsampling to 3840 by 2160, also known as 4K, will help smooth out some of the jagged alias lines in the original image. Smoothing out those lines makes for a much more pleasant and believable image. Here's an example with 3 identical in-game screenshots to show you why I take screenshots in Star Citizen in high resolution and then downsample them. I generally use reshade to change levels, add film grain, and force some extra anti-aliasing in-game, but reshade is completely off in these examples. Here's the first shot captured at 1920 by 1080 with no downsampling. And here's the second shot at 4K, which is 3840 by 2160, and downsampled to 1920 by 1080 using bicubic smoothing in Photoshop. And then here's the third shot taken at 6K, which is 6144 by 3456, and downsampled to 1920 by 1080 using bicubic smoothing in Photoshop. Normally I don't downsample all the way down to 1920 by 1080, but it's more obvious for this demonstration. The 2 downsampled images were then saved as lossless PNG files. Obviously there is some quality loss from the original screenshots to the video export and then the upload to YouTube. The difference between the base 1080 shot and the one downsampled from 4K should be obvious even in this video. It's harder to notice a difference between the 4K and 6K downsampled versions in this video, but it is there. It's easier to see when viewing the actual image files. If you have a 1920 by 1080 monitor, don't fret. You can probably take screenshots at higher resolutions. The method depends on the game and/or hardware in your system. Both Nvidia and AMD have video cards that are capable of using what they call super resolution. Nvidia's DSR, or Digital Super Resolution, and AMD's VSR, or Virtual Super Resolution, both do the same thing. They render the game at a higher resolution than your monitor can handle, and then downsample it to fit your monitor all in real time while playing the game. This gives the illusion of a clearer, higher resolution gaming experience. As a bonus, taking screenshots with some software will actually capture the super resolution image before the real-time downsampling. For instance, before I got my 4K monitor, I was on a 1920 by 1080 monitor using AMD's VSR to max out my resolution at 3200 by 1800, which is just below 4K. When I took screenshots using MSI Afterburner, Afterburner would save the 3200 by 1800 image. So check your card and your control panel software to see if this is an option for you. If your video card can't do VSR or DSR and you're still interested in capturing super high resolution shots, don't worry. The method changes based on the game or game engine, but if you look hard enough, you can usually find a way. The general approach is to force the game into windowed mode and specify a resolution larger than your monitor. Sometimes this can be done within the game, or with custom scripts, or settings files, or with external programs. Most people probably aren't going to go this far to grab high resolution screenshots, but for those willing to do the extra work, the results can be fantastic. Because my AMD card's virtual super resolution max out at 3200 by 1800, my new 4K monitor makes VSR useless to me. So using this windowed method is generally how I capture super high resolution shots now. And since it varies from game to game, I'm not going to go into the details in this video, but I'll make a tutorial specifically for using this technique in Star Citizen soon. Moving along to my final facet of this topic, uploading and sharing. You've figured out the best way for you and your system to capture the most glorious high-resolution in-game screenshots known to humankind and want to share them with the world. But how do you do it? Believe it or not, even uploading to your favorite image server can lower the quality of your shots. While Imgur might be the easiest way to share images across multiple platforms, uploads might be compressed and sometimes converted to lossy formats. According to their help pages, the maximum file size for non-animated images, think JPEG, PNG, etc., is 20 megs. PNG files over 5 megs will be converted to JPEGs. It goes on to say, images over 1 meg for anonymous uploads and 5 megs for account holders will be lossily compressed. For most, this doesn't matter, but to those serious about high quality screenshots, it's something to consider. I haven't used Reddit's native image service much, but I do know it has a 20 meg image file size limit. It does not seem to convert or compress your upload though, so long as it's under 20 megs. However, while you can share direct links to images uploaded to Reddit, there is no view tracking or statistics like you get with Imgur. Again, this doesn't matter to everyone, but it's something to keep in mind. These might be some of the reasons why Flickr has an active and larger than expected screenshotter community. While Flickr does automatically create different sizes of your upload, compressing some in the process, they retain the original upload that you can link to directly. When I upload an 8K lossless PNG space engine screenshot, I can share a link to that 8K original for those that want it. And while Flickr does well on image quality, it is far from great at the actual sharing of the images. The website can be clunky, especially on mobile. Originally, I started on Imgur because it was such a universal image sharing and social site, but once I started taking higher resolution screenshots resulting in larger file sizes, I noticed the compression and conversion issues with Imgur. And image quality aside, the community itself seems far more helpful and supporting at Flickr, since a large part of the community is from a photography background. I wanted to learn and grow, and I wasn't getting that from the community at Imgur. But I still use Imgur, just not for the high resolution shots. There are many other image hosting sites out there. I suggest you rank what's important to you and find a host that fits your needs. Just know that a lot of them will convert and/or compress your uploads. Now, you could go the self-hosted route if you have your own website. This allows you to upload any file size you want, display it any way you like, and retain complete control over it. That is, if you have a website and know what you're doing. Also, hosting screenshots on your own site limits your exposure. By uploading to established social sites, you automatically get views from people who never would have stumbled onto your site. So, if you're trying to make a name for yourself or build an audience, think about using the established social image sharing sites to your advantage. And that about covers my in-game screenshot image quality ramblings. Hopefully you found this helpful and can put it to some good use. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, or if you've found other image hosting sites you think I should check out. Also, post in the comments if you have questions not covered in this video, or a request for something you'd like me to explain in the future regarding in-game screenshots. If you're interested in learning more about any of the programs or websites I mentioned in this video, check below for links and descriptions. And please, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos if you enjoy what I'm doing. It really does help. Thank you.